Coming up on Tekzilla, what Veronica is looking forward to at CES, tips for first-time PC builders, top tips of 2010, and backing up Windows 7 updates. So roast those grasshoppers and pour on the chocolate, because Tekzilla starts now. This episode of Tekzilla is made possible by the national fight against drunk driving, Over the Limit, Under Arrest, Who Wants to Spend the Holidays in Jail, Gazelle, the fastest and easiest way to sell and recycle your gadgets, and HostGator, green energy web hosting. Get 20% off your order with the Revision 3 discount. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Welcome to Tekzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you've already got.
Yes, whether you're a beginner, tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech or who makes the best take-home and bake-yourself apple pies in the Bay Area, we've got an answer for you.
And if we don't, we'll track down somebody who does. It is our last show of 2010. I believe that was our party horn noise. We would like to thank all of you for a great year.
Yes, he's getting all gushy because we pre-taped this show, so it could be edited before Revision 3 went on holiday break. But seriously though, thanks to all of you for making this an awesome year for Tekzilla. That doesn't mean you're off the hook though. We still want your questions. So send them in to Tekzilla at revision3.com, or of course, tweet them to us at Tekzilla. So wait, does that mean CES is already here? Wait a second.
Yes, CES, the annual Consumer Electronics Show, hits right on the heels of New Year's Day. It takes several 100,000 people, 10 or 15,000 new products, stuff them into the Las Vegas Convention Center, add one irritated Veronica, dehydration, bad food, and late nights, and you've got CES, which we'll be covering from Tuesday through Saturday. And if you've got questions about what's going on at CES, whether it's a giant announcement or some weird backyard audiophile speaker shaped like a bird's nest, I'm only half kidding on that, by the way. We want you to email them or tweet them with #TZCES on the tweets so we can answer them while we're at the show. So I can ask, are you anything your interest is piqued about for the 2011 CES?
No. No, I'm just kidding. Mostly, I'm happy about the death of the netbook. The netbook,
I don't know
as it were.
I don't know if netbooks are dying, because Google seems single-handedly trying to...
Oh, no. Oh. Do not call that a netbook.
Do not call that a netbook.
No. They like notebooks. They're going back to notebook. I think everything is going back to lightweight notebook. Netbook is a thing of the past. I really hope that term dies. At least the term. I just want the term to die. I'm sure we'll see some lingerers here and there this year. Some clingers on.
We expect to see like 42,000 Android tablets.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of tablets, Android tablets, Windows Phone 7 tablets also, which we've been waiting to see for quite a while now. So I'm excited to see what tablet offerings we're going to see, especially in terms of will they compete with the iPad? Is it going to be like something that consumers are into? What the price points are going to be? All that.
We already know that Google TV is kind of backed away.
Yeah, I'm really excited about TVs actually, and I was really bummed out about the news a couple of weeks ago that Google was basically putting the kibosh on a lot of announcements from Logitech and Sharp and LG. Them down. Well, I mean, they probably had their whole announcements catered, tailored around all these things. They were also serving delicious food. All the announcements were going to be excellent. Buffet table, catering.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not 3D is still a big thing, or if 3D is kind of something people mention on the side of things.
You know, it is. It's still going to be a big thing this year. I think all the TVs are going to be internet connected in one way or the other, and they're going to still have the 3D, and that's going to be a major pushing point for all the manufacturers this year.
You must have 3D now!
You know, I'm not a huge 3D fan. We're looking to buy a new TV, and 3D is not something we're looking at.
Well, 3D is basically it's going to have most of the by the end of 2011, almost every HDTV will have 3D.
Yeah, but right now the price point is still really cost prohibitive for a lot of people, I would say.
Well,
especially in the higher end models, I would say so.
But the 3D is not really adding much to the price of the higher end models. They were going to be, I mean, Samsung 8000, absolutely gorgeous 46-inch television, $1,700 from Amazon.com.
That's not bad.
You know,
that's not bad.
55-inch version of that, which is an unbelievably beautiful piece of glass, is going to be about $2,800. $1,500. That's a premium, but I think you're paying more for the glass than the 3D.
That's probably true, but I don't know. I just 3D for me is not something I'm not sold on it. You know, I've seen a lot of things I've liked in 3D in the past, especially in terms of gaming. But for me, just to have it day to day, I don't think I would use regularly until the technology gets to the point where we don't need the peripherals, we don't need the glasses in order to see it.
Well,
we're still. I would say we've got a few years out on that.
Yeah, Vizio just announced a 65-inch HD TV, 3D HD TV with passive glasses, which is a step in the right direction.
Bam. Vizio makes some good TVs.
Yes, actually.
We don't talk about them enough, I don't think.
Well, we've talked about them a lot more in HD Nation.
Your other show.
Your other show. Actually, it's part of Tekzilla.
I know now.
She's going to be that way. Jocko writes in, I love testing electronics and sharing my findings with people. I love making suggestions on what to improve in those products, but I don't know how to get onto a list or more than one list to get this stuff into my house so I can test it. Would you have any suggestions? God bless, Jocko. We get variations on this question. They sort of pop up in little clusters from time to time.
Yeah, I think pretty much the main thing to do is get established with your own blog or website and actually have a pretty decent portfolio of reviews that you've done on your own first before you start asking for things to review, because people want to know if they're sending you products that it's going to someplace worthwhile and that it's not just ending up in your living room and you never blog about it and you never deal with it. You're just basically in it for the free stuff.
And we should point out, like, yes, we get stuff sent to test, and then pretty much anything worth more than $50 goes back to the manufacturer. Some stuff they don't want back because the shipping actually is worth more than the product. But basically, all the stuff we get has to go back, especially the nice stuff. Veronica's right, though. Basically, pick an area that you want to be an expert on. Write about it. Write about the news. Do your analysis. Test products you already own or that people will lend to you in your neighborhood. Demonstrate awesomeness on the web and get to know PR folks. Ask them questions. Like, don't be like, hey, will you give me stuff? Call up and see, like, you know, hey, I understand the LP429/7 is going to be yada, 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 and get clarification on that. Write about stuff. And then basically you start begging. And
another thing is going to a trade show is a great way to meet a lot of these PR people and to get familiarized with the people working at these companies that you want to be reviewing for. But the problem is not a lot of them are open to laymen, to people who aren't already in the industry. So you kind of have to figure out if there's shows that are open to the public, get in that way, or at least figure out a way to get your blog established as something that will count as press for registration. And sometimes you need to have a certain amount of posts or a certain, like, you know, number of bylines on the website, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically start writing, try to update your website 2 to 3 times a week at the minimum. Or you can do it the old school way and get a job working for a website, magazine, a blog. And Antech.com, for example, is looking for reviewers to expand their stable. They doubled their number of reviewers last year. They're trying to do it again this year. Nice. So again, though, you know, somebody like Anand, they're going to see your chops, they're going to see your reviews, and there's more it's easier to self-publish yourself and have people find you and your expertise on the web than it's ever been possible for self-publishing. So start a blog, pick an area you want to be an expert in, and go, go, go.
Absolutely. Well, coming up next, our top tips for the first-time PC builder. But first, it's time to thank one of our sponsors, the National Campaign Against Drunk Driving. Far too many people do not understand that alcohol, drugs, and driving do not mix. The message is simple, guys. Drinking and driving over the limit, under arrest. Don't put yourself or others in danger. Law enforcement officials will be out in full force all over the country from December 16th through the 30th. Cracking down on drunk drivers. Beyond putting your life at risk, you could cost yourself a bundle of time and money. Jail time, the loss of your driver's license, higher insurance rates, and dozens of other unanticipated expenses from attorney fees, court costs, car towing, repairs, lost time at work, the list goes on and on. The worst/best part of drinking and driving is that it can be avoided so easily. You can still go out and have fun, just plan ahead. If you're going to drink, designate a driver, call a taxi, use mass transit, or find some other kind of sober ride program. If I'm feeling brave enough to leave my neighborhood, I always take a cab home after a night of fun, and you should too. I think spending $10 on a cab is a heck of a lot smarter than risking your life or someone else's. Be safe, don't drink and drive this holiday season, or ever.
A few weeks ago, we got all giddy working on the parts list for our producer Serafina's new $500 PC. We listed all the components we'd chosen, and now we have Serafina herself here with the finished product and a few tips for any first-time PC builders out there. Now, Serafina, this was your first time building a PC.
Yes. Yeah, I'd always had laptops up until now, so I could have the option of taking them with me, but I don't need to do that since I have my fancy phone.
You live on your Android phone.
I do.
and your notebook sits at home collecting dust.
Yes.
So,
a lot of dust.
What was the hardest part for you in building a PC?
Picking out the components was pretty tricky, time-consuming, just looking at all the reviews, finding a good value, finding best prices, and all that type of stuff.
Did you end up choosing pretty much the same components we came up with the list, or did things change?
No, well, partly because I was buying my parts over Black Friday. There was a lot of good deals that we didn't have access to before.
$40 off this, $20 off that. I can get that processor instead?
Well, the $60 terabyte and a half hard drive was a nice find.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, so I'll have the list of the components in the show notes.
How about as far as actually building the machine?
Actually building the machine, well, it was very helpful having somebody who actually knows how it all fits together. Thank you very much for that.
Glad to be of assistance.
Yeah, it would have taken me a lot longer, like twice as long, to put it all together if I didn't have somebody answering questions like that for
Glad
me.
to be of use. Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because it's once you've built like 8 PCs, you don't really think about it. It's like, okay, I have to match the little square and the socket and the stuff and but I remember the first time I built one, it was absolutely terrible. I remember the first time I changed a hard drive in a PC. I was just, the machine was worth like $2,000. I just spent $500 on the hard drive. It was 1,000 years ago. The internet didn't exist. I just stopped writing on stone tablets.
Yeah.
And that was just like literally lifting out a card and putting in a new card.
Right.
And I was freaked.
Yeah, I'd replaced memory in my laptop before, but that was as far as I'd gotten into the nitty-gritty of the innards.
So what are your top 5 tips for the first-time PC builder?
First of all, you might not use every port, every cable, every screw. That was kind of not what I'm used to. When you're building something, mostly, you're expecting this will go here, this will go here, and then you'll use up all the parts. But that's
you're used to motorcycles. The parts come off, all the parts go back on. Extra parts, bad.
Yes. That means you've forgotten something, but not in this case, because obviously your configuration is going to be different. Your hard drives, motherboards, and all that.
They give you extra parts in the bag.
Yes.
Number
lots
2.
of extra parts.
Lots of extra parts. And
Number
you should
2,
save them. They'll come in useful someday.
Yes. Number 2, the motherboard's manual will help a lot. Lots of the parts will be labeled on the motherboard and all the parts, but for the ones that aren't labeled, the motherboard's manual will tell you where to go. For example, there are 4 memory slots, but I only had 2 memory sticks.
Right.
So does it matter which ones you put them in? As it turns out, it depends on if you're overclocking. And that was a good tip that I got from the manual.
Plus the big map that shows you, like, where do I plug in my fan for my CPU?
Right.
Because they are a little dense.
Yes.
What about number 3?
Number 3, the backplate tabs are a bit tricky.
Because the motherboard actually didn't fit in the plate that came with it until we started bending and prying pins out of the way.
Yeah, you can see that these little silver tabs, I think we got most of them bent out of the way completely, but some of them are still there. It's fine as long as whatever needs to plug in still plugs in then.
Because it's really irritating when you go to slide the motherboard in and all of a sudden there's 2 tabs inside your Ethernet socket.
Right.
And you can't. It's bad.
Yeah, just make sure those are, as long as everything plugs in, like I said.
What was 4th on your list?
Number 4, cable organization. I still have some work to do on that. I was going to zip tie a couple of these together to get things out of the way, just to help with airflow and in case you want to replace a part that's not all in knots.
Plus, it's always like nerve-wracking to see all the wires hanging down like guts on an Aliens movie or something. Number 5, I guess would that be the last on your list?
Sure. Number 5, like I said before, and it's worth repeating, find somebody who has done this before. If you can ask questions, a lot of things that they won't think twice about, you will be baffled about and spend an hour trying to figure out how to do it. It's very helpful.
Good stuff, Serafina. What's the next project going to be?
Next project.
Electric motorcycle, home server?
Well, I'm going to figure out how to overlay GPS data onto helmet cam footage.
Really?
Actually.
You're going to do that one on the show too?
If there is a demand for it.
Email people, Tekzilla@reason3.com. Force Serafina to go sleepless until she has GPS data on her helmet cam. Still to come, Veronica's got our top 5 tips of 2010, so don't go away.
It's time to thank one of our sponsors, Gazelle. Have a bunch of tech gear and gadgets you don't use anymore but not sure what to do with them? Try Gazelle. Gazelle accepts more than 300,000 products from over 20 different electronics categories. Shipping is free on all items of value, and in most cases, they'll even send you a box to ship with. Also, for you green folks out there, Gazelle makes all their recycling partners adhere to some strict policies. No exports, no landfill policies, and tons of data security standards. Gazelle is a great way to get cash to upgrade to the latest iPhone or Android phone. As we see off another year, we'd like to take the time to look back at the Tekzilla tips that did the best this year. We calculate popularity based on the number of unique views on a Tekzilla daily across revision3.com and our partner sites. From there, we select the top 5. So without further ado, I present to you the top 5 most watched Tekzilla tips in 2010 in no particular order. Turn your Mac on and off automatically. Just like your TiVo or your sprinkler system, you can have your Mac start up and shut down automatically. Just open your system preferences and select Energy Saver. Click Schedule at the bottom, and on the next dialog, you can do a few things. Just check the first box and select a corresponding time to set your machine to wake up or start up at a given time. Or select the second box to get your machine to sleep, restart, or shut down at a certain time. You can set this to happen every day, only on weekends, only on weekdays, or only on a certain day of the week. So start living in the future. Put your Mac on automatic and let your machine wake up itself and put itself to sleep. OS 10, get tabbed browsing in Finder. Located at totalfinder.binaryage.com, this freeware application lets you view multiple Finder windows in a series of tabs in a single window. That means you won't have to put up with scattered windows all over your desktop. You can also move tabs around, pull them out into their own windows, and snap multiple windows into one. Plus, you get a bunch of tweaking options for the sidebar, label color, file name, and trash options, and finally a nifty customizable hotkey to bring up the Finder in a visor. There you have it, a more flexible and convenient way to interface with Snow Leopard's Finder that makes file management a snap. Find webcams from around the world. Google Maps gives you a good idea of the geography and layout of a city, and Street View is a good option if you want to see what a place actually looks like from the ground. But neither of these perspectives is quite real-time. Well, thankfully, Google Maps has added a new layer to address that. Just click on More between the Traffic and Map buttons and select Webcams. This will pull from thousands of webcams worldwide, aggregated at www.webcams.travel, and show thumbnails at their location. The thumbnail that appears on Google Maps will generally be from within the last hour, but you can click on it to go to its page at webcams.travel and find the very latest image and any other pertinent information. So if the Street View isn't recent enough for you, or you're just curious who's walking around Times Square right at this very instant, try out the webcam layer in Google Maps. Default password for every network router. If you've got a home network router to share your internet connectivity with a plethora of devices around the house, here's a tip from Walker you might be interested in. Walker writes, I found a website that will help you find the default username and password of almost any router. Just go to routerpasswords.com, select the router brand, click the Find Password button, and it will show you the list of all the models of routers from that make and their default usernames and passwords. Now, this is something everyone who owns a network router should be aware of. It's great if you've lost the instructions to your router and need to do a hard reset, because in most cases you'll need the default password to log in to adjust the parameters. But more importantly, it means you should always change the password as soon as you can, since anyone can find the default from the factory and exploit it for nefarious reasons. Edit web pages before they print. When you print a web page, you often find the page cluttered with text and images that you don't really need or want. What if you could edit that page before you printed it? Now you can, thanks to a Firefox add-on called Print Edit. Once installed, just find the website you want to print and hit Print Preview. Now at the top, you'll see a new button labeled Edit. Click that and you'll be taken to a page where you can select different fields on the page and either hide or delete them. Hiding a field will just make it invisible, while deleting it will reformat the page to condense the space that has been deleted. Once you've gotten the layout the way you want it, hit the button labeled Preview and you'll be taken back to the main Print Preview page with your new edited page layout, where you can just click Print as usual. So don't waste paper with useless info. Try Print Edit today. So what have we learned from this list?
There must be a lot of people running routers who don't know what the passwords to them are, and people love convenience.
Indeed.
Hey, if you want to make Tekzilla Dailies as popular in 2011 as they were this year, please share and send in your computing tips, tricks, and suggestions. Internet, computers, OS 10. We'll even do some Linux tips this year. Just email them to tekzilla@revision3.com.
After the break, more of your viewer questions. But before we get to that, we'd like to thank one of the sponsors that brings Tekzilla to you.
Let's take a moment to thank HostGator. You're looking for a place to launch a blog or a website? Frustrated with customer support at your current hosting provider? Go with HostGator and get up and running in minutes. With plans starting at just $4.95 a month, you get top-rated 24/7 customer support, access to tools including a website builder with over 4,000 templates, and HostGator will even migrate your current site for free. And their servers are 130% powered by wind energy. It is completely green web hosting. Unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, a 45-day money-back guarantee, and $100 in Google AdWords credit to market your website. Right now, for Revision 3 viewers, HostGator is offering a fat 20% off your order or your first month for free. Go to HostGator.com and enter in the code TekzillaHD at checkout to get your discount at HostGator.com.
Reese from Singapore emailed us recently asking, is there any way to back up my 64-bit Windows 7 updates?
Well, you can't really save what you've downloaded and installed, which is what normally happens when you're on Windows updates, unless you want to image your hard drive, your entire drive. What you can do is download the updates directly from Microsoft from their update site at catalog.update.microsoft.com and run a search. Something like Windows 7, and then pick the items you want to download.
Yeah, keep them in a separate folder, a separate download folder, and then if you're not using a compatible OS, point your browser to Microsoft.com/downloads to access the Microsoft Download Center. Microsoft has a great support article at this URL, and don't forget that Microsoft is currently working on a service pack for Windows 7. This will roll in all those hot fixes, patches, and security updates into one fat download.
Because they take a long time to download individually.
Patch Tuesday.
Victor writes in asking, for the past year or so, I've been doing a lot of video editing from my T2i. Great camera, by the way. I've tried using my Seagate portable drive, and I know USB isn't the best connection to use for editing because it's slow. I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts on the new Seagate free agent GoFlex Pro 7200 RPM drive with the Firewire adapter. I've been using it with the new MacBook Pro with the i5 processor. I'm curious if the speed of the drive coupled with the speed of the transfer rate of Firewire would make this a great portable editing drive. Also, will the Firewire on the MacBook Pro provide power to run the drive, because it doesn't allow for an additional power source? Victor. Oh boy.
Last question first. The answer is yes. The Firewire in the MacBook will power the drive. This works because Firewire was designed to carry current to the peripheral as long as the power requirements are low, like an external notebook size drive. All MacBooks with Firewire use the 6 or 9-pin variety. They all carry the juice. So that's good to know. In your case, it's the 9-pin variety.
If you're on a PC, by the way, the little 4-pin Firewire jacks you usually find on PC notebooks, no power on those. Those are going to need additional juice, either basically jumping to a USB cable or a power brick. Search the Googles for information on the USB Firewire adapter cable thingies.
Indeed. Now, as to your first question, it depends on what you want to edit. If you're looking to edit HDV or AVC HD encoded clips, or SD clips, you should be fine. You should be set. We've used a similar setup before when we field edit for events like CES and haven't run into any major hiccups. However, if you plan on dealing with pro codecs like Apple's 442 codec or similar, you might find yourself with a lot of jerky clips. You'll want to consider a higher performance desktop drive in an external case, like ideally with a Firewire 800 connection. The downside is you'll need to be near a wall outlet.
Yeah, basically the bigger drives are faster than the smaller drives. Look, if you plan on doing serious video edit sessions, you will really want to be next to a wall outlet, period. Regardless of whether you use a smaller notebook-sized drive or a larger desktop external drive, video editing sucks a lot of juice out of your system. You'll probably have the brightness turned up on your monitor, and you're going to be feeding the voltage to that external drive. Especially if you want to encode video in any reasonable time frame, you will want AC power, otherwise your battery life will jump off a cliff, and you'll be looking at a black screen going, I wanted to finish editing that.
And this goes for any laptop user wanting to edit video, whether it be PC or Mac.
You want to find more Tekzilla? Try revision3.com/Tekzilla, youtube.com/TechHD, facebook.com/Tekzilla. Be our friend. And you can always ask us questions on Twitter.
Yes, we've got Veronica, we've got Robert Heron, Patrick Norton, Tekzilla. Anywhere you ask us, we'll answer your questions.
And as always, we're waiting, patiently staring at our email inbox, Tekzilla@revision3.com, so you can ask us questions like about stuff at CES. If you do a CES question, pound TZ CES so we can find it fast. Basically, tech help, product reviews, how-tos. You ask us, we'll do it, but we need your email, so don't be shy. Send them in.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Until next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. chocolate-covered insects. Reminds me of happy land lobsters. Welcome to Roger Chang's House of Land Lobsters. Find insect cuisine for the discerned palate. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica.
Oh! Shit.
Not it.
Timing.
Sorry. A few weeks ago, we got all giddy working on the parts list for producer Serafina's new $500 PC.
Josh Jr. single, he wasn't.
2.
Okay, now we're rolling.
In 3, 2.